In my 20s, I was living in a condominium with a roommate or flatmate, I think it's called on your side of the pond. And the centerpiece of our condo, aquariums. And the highlight of one of the aquariums was a fish we called Chomper. Chomper, all the other fish were pets of my roommate. Chomper was about this big, a beautiful saltwater variety, colors of the rainbow, effervescent shades of fluorescent colors throughout his body. His face looked like one of those Mexican wrestlers' masks. Now, I'm using the masculine form to describe Chomper. Truth be told, we didn't know what gender he was. I mean, how do you tell? Do you look for something? Do you try and grab him and pick him up and inspect? Where would you look? I'm an ichthyologist. Google that word. No, the only type of fish I could identify served on my plate of fish and chips. Anyway, attempting to take Chomper out and inspect him would have been a bad idea because Chomper was fish. I think secretly he wanted to be a piranha. I once tried to hand feed him some food in my fingers, which I dipped in the tank. He spit it out. That is something I never forgot. Chomper had a shy view of the happenings of two wild bachelors, myself and my roommate. Oh, the stories he could have shared, perhaps a few that should never be shared. We were always entertaining friends, mates, and of course, it seems like the only thing on our minds at that age was football, ladies, and food. If I had at the time, I was asked which of the three was the most important, football. One day I decided I wanted to. I mean, think of the advantages. I could enjoy something I could watching football. And if there was no football games on, I could go to the next best thing and invite a lady over. So I decided to make flour tortillas, a Mexican, not the Spanish. It's a simple recipe if you know what you're doing. How hard could it be? I thought of it akin to your first kiss. You know what you do, you have the right ingredients, but if you don't use them in the right order, it can be a disaster. Well, my flour tortillas were a disaster, which if I were to refer to my metaphor, the first kiss, would have been like kissing with a mouthful of chewing tobacco. It gets in where it shouldn't, taste horrible. And all through this, Chomper was there watching, taking a sort of enjoyment from my troubles. A shot on look on him. And I spoke German, did you? Thank you, Google. There were other similar maps in cooking. Like the time I tried to,
Here are some results.
cook bread, okay? And one of the things that I did with the bread was I forgot to rise and I had a date coming over. How important is it to let it rise? I put it in the oven. When I took it out, it's flat as the pan that I put it in. Ruined it, okay? Well, luckily later on that evening, I didn't have that problem with my date, if you know. We're thinking, another thing I tried to cook and had a challenge with is cooking an apple pie. I mean, who would have thought salt looks so much like sugar? Well, I tried, I started to get a little bit better. One of the things that I did was I made, or tried to make, a dish that was served with ants, are something that I brought back from South America. Now, these ants were the type that you chew. You put them in your, they were nice, crispy. When you put them in your mouth, they kind of went and they crunched. That didn't work out okay. Flatmates liked it. Obviously, our date liked it. It was also a disaster. I kept on trying to cook all through my cooking career. This time, Chomper was there, just kind of looked at me. I mean, where's he going to go? Well, I finally got better to the point where I decided to invite a special person over, a special lady I had been to court for a long time. And I was going to cook fish as the main course. I had all the ingredients. I had a nice bottle of wine checked out. I had picked out a salad that I was going to make from a packet. All the other parts of my meal were coming together. And I put the fish in to cook it, and it was a disaster. It was ruined. What was I going to do? Later, my came home, and I was sitting on the couch with my date after enjoying a one meal. My roommate came over, and as was his habit, he went to the aquariums, and there was no Chomper. And that was the evening I learned to cook fish. Mr. Toastmaster.